Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Welcome in. Jeremy Popielarz here with you as always. We're here. We're talking week 7. We have a football game going on right now. Rams and Jaguars, not as exciting as one would hope. Definitely thought the Jaguars would be keeping it a little bit closer than they are, but they're not. So Rams kind of running away with it. Devontae Adams having a big morning so far. We've had plenty of start-sit questions. As usual, normal housekeeping, pretty simple. Watching on YouTube, toss that question in there. You're watching on the X feed over at FTN Fantasy's X page. Toss it in the comments. If you're catching this from my retweet or on my profile, you can head over to the X profile and drop it in there. You can also drop it on the start-sit thread that I've had going for most of the morning here. Already answered a plethora of questions. I'm sure we'll get some more as maybe some inactives come out. Waiting on Josh Jacobs. Some other players with some injury issues that we're kind of riding and watching out for here. And then hopefully we get some production out of the Rams offense that is not Devontae Adams here in the second half, mainly Tutu Atwell. Guy I have started in a couple spots, so hopefully we do get that rolling as well. And like I said, we'll run through as many of these questions as we can get. And yeah, we'll rip it off here. Jake's jumping in bright and early. Good morning, Jake. Week 7 is around. And good one here. Luke McCaffrey and Romeo Dubes. Washington's confusing to me. McCaffrey obviously hasn't seen a ton of targets, but the injury bug hasn't usually been Ridley and Depot. Now that both are out, I could see a little bit more volume going to McCaffrey. Obviously, Ertz will be a big factor. And it seems like Chris Moore is kind of a go-to guy as well. We saw him kind of pop off a bit last week. So I think where I'm going to ride here is Romeo Dubes, still a guy that's very involved in that passing attack. We saw Golden see a little bit more, but Dubes is kind of like the go-to in the red zone outside of Tucker Kraft. So for me, I'm going there, especially considering we may have no Josh Jacobs. I'm just going to ride with that, like a more proven asset. McCaffrey's had some good spots here, but very low target volume, very high efficiency with touchdowns as far as fantasy points goes. So I'm riding with Romeo Dubes here, Jake. Not trying to get too, I guess you could say, cute, maybe. It doesn't say McCaffrey wouldn't have a big day, but I'm just going to lean to what seems like probably the safer volume option in Romeo Dubes there. Also, I think Arizona, it's probably, hopefully it's not a blowout, but I don't know if it's a huge go-to there. As far as a quote unquote blowout for the Packers this week. So let's see here. Gotta hit that retweet quick and we'll get to that next question there. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. Just gotta hit those buttons. Reset season. Morning. How you doing? Welcome back. Enjoying it. You know, I don't have to sit here and worry about crying at the end of the week because the Bills blow another game. So that's good. It's good. Good week for me. Your flex spot here, though. Pacheco, Golden, and Travion Henderson. I'm going to rise Isaiah Pacheco. We saw him steadily kind of continue to get more and more involved here as the games have gone on. I think the Chiefs want to as well continue to get that going. Raiders started out pretty strong against the run. They've weakened a little bit over the past few weeks. So that's where I think I'm going to go. I think that's Chiefs have that one pretty fairly in hand. Pacheco gets some pretty good usage there. Yo, good morning. Interesting one. Myers. Yes, interesting. Fannin and put in Abuko with a Jarvis as backup. I really don't think Abuka's playing. I just don't. Missed second half of the game. Like, I know they're saying, yeah, he was limited, but like, what was limited? I believe with the designations, they can limited's could be very limited, and they can still go limited. It's smart for them. They're not in that situation where they really need him if Evans is coming back, which sounds like you got Evans, you got those guys behind it. You showed last week, Tampa Bay at least, that you could still win games without Abuka. And I would say with a team with higher aspirations, they likely sit him. So I've been telling everybody to just kind of avoid it, Gil. So that's probably where I'm going to go. Like, Charbonnet isn't terrible. But I feel like I would prefer Myers or Fannin over Charbonnet. So I'm probably going to go Fannin. I just think based on volume. I know the weather's not supposed to be great in Cleveland, but he's not necessarily running super deep routes. Nona Joku, I think that Gabriel's going to probably pepper him fairly heavily. Cleveland should be keeping it fairly close. You're going to see a little bit of Judkins against that Miami run defense, but I do think Fannin is probably the go-to in the passing game. The weather probably honestly helps him as well because shouldn't be as many deep targets there. Jake, Sutton, or Pickens. We're going to hit this one quick before Shane's. Pickens. Still riding it. I know CeeDee Lamb's going to be back, but heavy passing volume team. I think Pickens could at least find the end zone there. Shane, Dak, Caleb, or Daniels. Still going Jaden Daniels. I know the weapons aren't there, but honestly, it's a little bit of a boost potentially for Daniels. Dallas struggles sometimes against rushing quarterbacks, and maybe just a big Jaden Daniels day, especially in the red zone. Like, Ertz is probably the go-to, and then it's going to be Daniels' legs or Ja'Cory Cross getting there. So the run game is where I think this game goes here for Washington, as opposed to one of these receivers really being like lights out for us in fantasy. So I'm still riding Daniels as my top quarterback this week. I'm not worried about it. Shane, Mason Taylor, or Kraft, or with no Garrett Wilson. I'm still rolling Kraft. I like Taylor. I think he's intriguing, but not over the top names, not over like Krafts, Kittles, Warren, stuff like that. Like I still think in a mid flex type of territory, Mason Taylor, you could argue to pivot to him as opposed to like, Hunter Henry, something like that. Sure. But the Tucker Crafts of the worlds, the other guys like that, still staying with the premier guys. David, good morning. All right. So now we got to catch up. We're about, half an hour or an hour behind on some of these questions here on the start sit thread. Like I said, again, housekeeping, toss it in here. If I don't see it right away, I will get to it on YouTube as well as the X feed. If not, I'm going to be also bouncing back and forth from the start sit thread that started earlier this morning. So I'm going to try to get to every question. But yeah, if you're on the thread and you happen to see this, like you want a further explanation, toss it in on the show. Otherwise, you're just going to get the players on the thread just so we can get everything answered. So we got Frank Jordan here, pick 3, Scadaboo, QJ, Sutton, Dobbins, and Olave. It's a good setup. QJ would be one of them for me. I'm going to go Sutton and Dobbins there. Whoa. Dun, 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 dun. My mouse just jumped across the screen. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa. That was an explosion. Chris, good morning. Tajay Spears, Bam Knight, Michael Carter, Tyler Algier, best running back 2. I'm going to roll Spears. Arizona against Green Bay, just not exciting to me. I'm sure one of those guys is. I would bank on Michael Carter being more valuable, the pass catching side of it, in a game that they're probably playing from behind, and the pass rush likely going to be dumping it off. So if you want to go the Arizona route, Chris, it would be Carter for me overnight. But I think Tajay Spears keeps continuing to get more involved in this passing attack and the offense. So I'm rolling with Spears. I think he's in a decent spot this week. David, start 3, Tet, Marvin Harrison Jr., QJ Bourne, Addison. Usually have Tet locked in, but worried with to go. Yeah, I get that. Sauce can definitely lock down a guy, and Tet seems like a guy that he could. Lengthier, kind of the reason that Sauce garnered so much hype, the taller, lengthier corner, really probably can have a good game against Tet as well. And I think you got 3 decent pivots here. Quentin Johnston, Addison are would-be locks kind of for me, with Wentz in there in a revenge game narrative. Addison's a start for me. Quentin Johnston, those 2 for sure. And Marvin Harrison, I would probably go to it. A little worrisome as far as how that pass attack is going to look. But I think Jacoby Brissett will give more option or more opportunities to Marvin Harrison Jr. than Kyler would. Just a little bit more of just, hey, giving my guy a chance. I think that's a little bit more in Brissett's game than it is in Kyler's at the moment. So I don't mind that. Kittle or Ferguson, Courtney, I would go Kittle. I'm fine with it. I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to have pretty much his normal role. The offense is looking for some serious playmakers that they don't have right now. Atlanta's a tough team against everything. We saw them kind of shut the Bills down, so a little worrisome there, but I do think Kittle will be fine in this matchup. Mason or risk Jacobs, have Dobbins on my bench to pivot. Yeah, I would just ride out Jacobs, David, and then pivot to Dobbins. Dobbins a good start again too this week against the Giants. So yeah, I would play Jacobs there. One wide receiver to flex. So out of Myers-Bourne, Quentin Johnson, Marks, Pacheco, Charbonnet, and Kraft. So Quentin Johnson would be my receiver. He's the highest ranked of this group. My flex would probably be Tucker, Kraft, and Isaiah Pacheco. David would be my go-tos there. James Everly, good morning, sir. First, I'm assuming Otten over Waller, especially with the weather. Yeah, I don't hate it. Still think Darren Waller probably scores a touchdown, if that makes you feeling better. Not huge on the Kate Otten thing. Like, Kate Otten's role doesn't change when receivers miss time. I actually had something I did with the FTN splits tool. Good tool if you don't have FTN, because I don't get it. I think it's actually even free, to be honest, if I remember correctly. You can just go to the site, ftnfantasy.com, go to fantasy tools, splits tool. Pretty fun tool. But Kate Otten doesn't change whether when in the games that they've missed Evans and Godwin in the past, Otten's role doesn't really change. So I'm not anticipating a ton. We saw it a little bit last year where he kind of had a spike in production, but I don't think that's the case this year. Again, we saw it last week with Cam Johnson, Tez Johnson. Like, they're still going to the receiver position, and then obviously the running backs in Tucker and White. So I really am not super high on Otten. If you are, fair, James. But I still probably would start Waller. I'm not too worried that much with the weather there. Waller's targets, low percentage or high percentage type of targets, low ADOTs. The weather shouldn't affect it a ton. And then as far as your flex goes, Trey Tucker, Ken Walker, Waller. Could also pick up Chris Moore. I like Moore out of the receivers there if you're adding one, but I'm also fine playing Trey Tucker. I like that probably playing Trey Tucker. Unless you have a guy to drop, I feel like with looking at this roster, maybe not. If you do, I would go, Chris Moore over all of those. All right, Shay. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Would you play Emmanuel Wilson over Kenneth Walker if Jacobs is out? Yes, I would definitely play Emmanuel Wilson over Ken Walker. Good spot for them against the Cardinals. Again, much like you said, if Josh Jacobs is out. If Jacobs is playing in any capacity, I'm probably avoiding it just in case. Jacobs is like the red zone guy and Emmanuel Wilson's between the 20s. You get that piddly kind of production. Don't love it. So I would definitely do that. Walker's not a terrible start, but it's not terrible. Quarterback choice here for James, penciled in as my starter. I've Dart on the bench. Yeah, no, just play Knicks. You're good with Knicks against the Giants. I'm cool with that. Sentigal, Mason or Golden. I'm probably going Mason. We've seen the Eagles' run defense kind of falter here in the last few weeks. I think Minnesota will be able to take advantage of that. Could see a big bounce back. They could definitely be a little bit more aggressive because of what they've had. But I do think Mason probably is the safer of the starts there. Jake, Emmanuel Wilson, Dubes, or Jamison Williams in flex. Again, Emmanuel Wilson only if Jacobs doesn't play. And then if Jacobs is playing, I'd play Dubes over Jamison Williams. Hobby, Walker Vidal, or Walker. I would say Vidal over Kenneth Walker this week. Hobby. Chris, Alec, A.O. Manor, Kyle Pitts, and roll the dice for Ibuka on Monday night. Don't think Ibuka's playing, Chris. Kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. I just doesn't make sense for them to play him, in my opinion. If he's hurt, let him sit. You've proven you can kind of move the ball without him last week in the second half. So you getting Evans back, like, I'd probably sit him. So I'm thinking that's what they're going to do. Unless there's a crazy jump in his health, but I don't think that. I think he'll just kind of go limited out is my guess. So I would probably go Kyle Pitts over Alec Manor here for you. Hunter Henry or Darren Waller. Also, would you play Emmanuel Wilson over Ken Walker if Josh Jacobs is out? Start BJ my flex today. Yeah, I would play Hunter Henry over Waller for you for sure, and then yes, Emmanuel Wilson over Ken Walker if Jacobs is out. And don't worry, we still got a second half here. They got to pass the football, so Brian Thomas Jr. could definitely kind of see some production for you there. Oh, did you mean okay? So, Hobby, did you mean Walker, Vidal, and Dowdle? If that's the case, I would play Dowdle over Vidal, Hobby. So, Dowdle would be your running back two in that situation. If you need two of them, it's Dowdle and Vidal. Ooh, that's a tongue twister that I wasn't expecting this morning. Miller, Stan, Baker, or Drake. I would go Drake May. I'm ranked one spot ahead of Baker. It's tough to know which way that game's going to go. But I think Drake should be able to take advantage of that secondary and have a pretty decent day. Let's see here. All right, we got Artemis on X. Need to remove one of these guys. PPR league. I'm leaning toward Taylor over Brown. So it's AJ Brown, Mason Taylor, Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen. I would probably sit Mason Taylor there for you, Artemis. Judy or Cup on X. That would be Cooper Cup when my computer loads. Let's see here. Gunna on X. Pick two. Chubb, Carter, Bam Knight, Wandell Robinson. So that would be Carter and Robinson. Then we need Taylor or Michael Mayer. I would go Taylor. Or I'd go Mayer. Mayer, and then Eagles, Bears, or Panthers. I would go with the Bears. There for you, Gunna. Hobby, you're good. I appreciate the good morning, but you're good. No rude. No offense taken, Hobby. Mayer would be my go-to at tight end there, Hobby. 100%. In case you were confused, it is Dowdell over the rest. Dowdell, Vidal, Ken Walker. So those three are ranked for me. Okay. Paraday system, pick 5. Okay. Nico Collins, Romo Dunze, Olave, Kamara, Goddard, Dobbins. So we're just going to say sit Elvin Kamara there. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, my computer is all over the place today. Chad Fournier, Pollard, Spears, or Bam. Probably Pollard there. Oh, so close, BTJ. So close. Americano, half PPR, Swift, or McConkey. I would go Swift there. AG on X, Hunter Henry, or Cade Otton. AG, we talked about it. Not totally in on Cade Otton this week. Dun, dun, dun. My computer's just not having it today. Let's see what windows we got open. Pardon me for 1 second. We're just going to see what we got open and see if we can close anything here. Close. Okay. Let's see if that helps us a bit here. Freezing a little. I don't want that poor quality for you folks. Let's see here. Omar Regale, full PPR. Okay, Manor, Luke McCaffrey, Woody Marks. I would go with Marks there. Crafty on X, Jordan Mason or Mike Evans. That one's going to be Mike Evans. Kevin Wheeler, need one. Pittman Jr., Devontae Adams, a little late on Devontae Adams there. Michael Carter. We're just going to avoid that one because it seems like you probably could. Sean Knox, Lamb, or Matthew Golden. I would go Lamb. Quez. Do I start Rico Dobbins or QJ in my flex? I would go J.K. Dobbins there. Shroud, Rattler, or Fields for Kai Voodoo. I will go Fields. Jimmy Wrestler. Cross my fingers on a Buka or start one of these guys, Butte or Tucker. I would go Tucker. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Rafaela. Start a Buka or go safe with Dubes. Safety with Dubes. Gill. Pick 2. Mason Taylor, Zonovan Knight, Waller, Shaheed, Charbonnet. If Jacobs hits one of these starts, will be Emmanuel Wilson. I agree with Jacobs. The other 2, though, would be Mason Taylor and Rashid Shaheed for me, Gill. Josh, Justin Fields, or Daniel Jones. Riding Daniel Jones, close. They're honestly pretty back-to-back for me in rankings as well as over at FTN. So that's between Radcliffe, Orginski, and myself. I would say Jones is a safe play. Interesting game, but I just don't trust. I know Fields has got Carolina, but the issue with no Garrett Wilson, like, is it going to be more of his legs or is it just like just and I'm afraid it's bleh. So I will ride with the safety of Daniel Jones, who likely scores a rushing touchdown today too. Probably just as much of a chance he scores as it would be with Justin Fields at this point. So Carol Baskin's burner account. Well, that's cool, right? Or Carol Baskins. It's a good show. Tiger King, right? I think that's what that one was. Vidal or DJ Moore is Vidal. Bourne, Waller, and Ao Manor. I would probably go Kendrick Bourne. Tough matchup against Atlanta. But I do think he can still have a decent production in a half or full PPR type of format. Nick, full PPR, 1.25 for tight ends, Waller or Jordan Mason. Yeah, I'm still riding Jordan Mason. I think the volume, like we said a little bit earlier there, that the run game, or run defense for the Eagles is not as good as one would hope. So, riding with Jordan Mason. Mike Walker, Pollard, Vidal, or Golden. Just need one. All righty. Seems pretty simple then, Mike. Kamani Vidal. Riding it. Ride the wave. I mean, the Chargers run game is pretty fun to begin with. Vidal showed that he can do it. Not the hardest matchup against Indy. Little tough, but not crazy. The rest of these guys, too many mouths to feed in each of their situations, up against some fairly tough defenses. Golden's probably got the easiest of the matchups, but really haven't seen him kind of command enough of a huge target share to safely and comfortably put him in a lineup. So I'll just ride Vidal in that situation. HB, Fannin, Stevenson, Mason Taylor, Wandell, Whittington, Butte, Manuel Wilson, Knight, or Tucker. Wow. Okay. Start 1. I'm guessing Fannin, Stevenson, Taylor, Wandell, Whittington, Butte, Wilson. A lot of names. We will go with Stevenson, and then Knight or Tucker would be Tucker. Let's see here. Kyle Ligon on X, Devontae Smith, Jacoby Myers, or Darnell Mooney. I'm going to go with Devonta. He seemed like the most steady of the Philadelphia receivers. So don't love the receivers, but seems like the steadiest you can kind of count on, kind of giving us some production in there. But yeah, Carmelo Padilla, from Colombia. Well, hello, Carmelo. So for wide receiver 1, 2, and flex, we got 3 here: Tet McMillan, Mike Evans, Egbuka, Brown, and Diggs. Okay, so 1 and 2. So you got Evans and probably McMillan would be one of them. And then probably AJ Brown. Yeah, that's probably where I'm rolling. Diggs is intriguing. Carmelo, but still probably riding out AJ Brown. Carl Rosbach, pick 2, Waddle, Worthy, or Evans would be Waddle and Evans for me. Need 2 for Mad Max of Scadaboo, Kamara, Genti, Dowdell, and Javante. Javante and Genti would be my 2. Knicks or Caleb Williams for Mad Max himself again. That would be Caleb. You're welcome, Mike. Survivor fan, half PPR, flex 1, Fannin, Moore, or Cup. I will go Fannin. So we got for Taylor here, does Jacobs play? I'd say 50-50. And Emmanuel Wilson, if he is there. Dun, 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 dun. Halone Moscow on X. Mahomes or Drake May? Patty Mahomes. He's back. Back is a reliable fantasy asset. The rushing touchdowns, big bonus. We'll see what it is. Gets Rice back today. I think that's a good spot. Again, for him to continue to just be what we have come accustomed to for Patrick Mahomes that we didn't have last year. So we got Adam, Bourne, and or Worthy. Would be Worthy. Mr. Daniel, play 1. PPR, Mason, Dubes, Kamara, Marvin Harrison, or Golden. Ooh, that's a tough one. I will go Jordan Mason there for you, though. Mr. Daniel Stevens. Jennifer Anderson, should I pick up the Browns defense or stick with Green Bay? I would stick with Green Bay. Both good plays. But Green Bay should be fine. I don't think there should be a big enough difference there. So Tyler Pike, touchdowns are 10 points. Ferguson or Goddard. Good options. Both tight end guys. Both tight end touchdown guys, Tyler. But I will go Goddard over Ferguson there. Now demand, start or sit. London, McConkey, or Krosky Merritt would be Drake London for me there. Gill, 4-point touchdowns. Fields, Dart, Wentz. Need 2, same team, Henderson or Waller. So we'll go with the latter of the questions. Henderson over Waller. And then for the Superflex spot, I would go Justin Fields. The only other one I would entertain is Carson Wentz. But both Wentz and Dart are ranked pretty low. Tough matchup for Dart, even Wentz. But a revenge game narrative for Wentz. So I like Fields, though. I think that probably has a rushing touchdown in there. Enough production to be a mid-tier quarterback for us this week, Gil. Bobby Mayer or Otten would be Michael Mayer. Like the spot against him in this game. Should be pretty decently targeted, enough to be a borderline tight end 1. If he finds the end zone, really good game for us there. Team on the right, any changes? That would be a no for me there, Sports Square. J. Frid, Taylor, or Ertz at tight end would be Ertz, McMillan, or Monty. I'll go David Montgomery there. Not sold on T-Mac today. Don't hate him. Don't love him. Just kind of in the middle. So if you got a good flex opposed to T-Mac, I'm all for pivoting off them. Ethan, if you had to pick two, Coker, Tez Johnson, Travion Henderson, we'll go Coker and Henderson there. Manuel Wilson or Ramondre Stevenson. Wilson if Jacobs misses. Dun, 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 dun. Shark America. Start Butte, Burden, Mooney, or Gadsden half PPR. I would go Butte here. Don't love him as a start, but doesn't have maybe better options there. Alberto, start Johnston or Bucks wide receiver. I have Ibuka and Shepard as backup. No, I'd start Quentin Johnson. Ibuka is not playing. I highly doubt it. Probably add him to my rankings near the end of before that window closes, just because. But yeah, I don't think he plays. But Quentin Johnston is going to be the guy that I would be playing there. Donovan Chan here. We got PPR Mason or Ken Walker. A lot of questions here, so hold tight for me, folks. Mason flex, Lad, Tet, Kittle, or Laporta. I would go Lad. Tight end Laporta. I have Goff starting. I'm cool with that. Stack that. Running back Ramondre or Dowdle. I'll go Ramondre, Taylor, tight end Taylor or Michael Mayer. I will go Mayer. Start one and tight end, two at flex. Okay, Dowdle, Fannin, Kittle, Waller. Sit Waller. Whew, Donovan. That was a marathon of questions right there. All right. RYVN. I don't know. Cowboy smiley face on X. Smitty or Coker. I will go Devonta. George Sega, Robinson or Bam Knight at flex. I have Scatterbo and Montgomery as my other running backs. I would go Robinson. Carter on X. We have pick 2, Tet, Worthy, Wilson if Jacobs is out. Would have Woody or K9 if Jacobs doesn't play. I would go Worthy and Wilson. Joe Hartman on X, Waller or Hawkinson. I would go Waller. Brent, full or PPR flex, Mooney, Marks, Burden. Take chance with the Buka. I would go Marks there, Brent. P, who should I start at flex? Waddle, Sutton, Olave, or Genty? Oh man, that is a tough pick. I'll go Olave. Cortland Sutton. That's really tough. That's a tough one. It's a good one, P. That might be the best of the day. That's one of the tougher ones. Hank, DJ Moore, Nick Chubb, Woody Marks for flex. DJ Moore's been disappointing. Yes, Hank, he has. Not surprised, though. He was a dynasty sell for me in one of my articles prior to the season starting. Didn't really love DJ Moore coming into the season. Pick one, Vidal, Harrison, Henderson, or Golden. I would go Vidal. Gabriel, Ale Manor, or Bourne. I would go Bourne here. Ale Manor, tough spot to get to have Ridley go down in this matchup. So, but bummer. Jacoby Myers inactive. Ooh, interesting. I don't know how that affects Jalen Coker. I wouldn't say he's a must start, but you could start him. For sure, Chris. You could start Coker. Liam, what do we got here? Need to sit one. Evan Sutton, QJ Worthy, Swift Dowdell. Worthy. Oh boy. Ertz or Hawkinson would be Ertz. Chiefs or Packers. Packers defense for me. Tyler on X Genty or Krosky Merritt. I would go Krosky Merritt. McCaffrey or Henderson. Would be Henderson. Allen or Worthy today. I would go Keenan Allen. There's a toddler running around. If you all heard that, she's having a time of her life up there. Ertz or Ferguson for Mo. I would go Zach Ertz. Mr. 755. Need one running back and one flex. Full PPR out of Swift, Dobbins, Rico, AJ Brown, and Pittman. So I would go JK and Swift. Well, look, we're starting to catch up. We're only 36 minutes behind. Promise I'm catching up. I promise. I swear. Luis need 2 wide receivers, 1 running, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Holy cow. And a quarterback. Okay, I guess we're setting the lineup. Oh, wait, no. Wait, oh, wait. Whoa. Okay, so Drake May and Bates are the quarterback and the kicker. On the roster, Jefferson, Olave, Mason, Ferguson, Laporta. Luis, this is a very confusing question. Ooh, that looked like that hurt Brian Thomas Jr. It's a painful one. Tony, I already have Ferguson at my main tight end position, but I have 2 open flex spots. Don't know where were we. I think that was a question earlier in the day. Bourne, Coker, and Fannin. So I would go Bourne and Fannin. Jones or Justin Fields for Bosa. I think that's how that's pronounced. Oshua, maybe? Not really sure. I think that's how that is. Anthony, Keenan Allen, or Ken Walker would be Allen. Rello, start 2, Pacheco, Travion, Henderson, Chris Moore. Kendre Miller would be Moore and Pacheco. Pepe Flores on X with Debo out. Start Dube, Shaheed, Kirk, Ao Manor, or Kittle. Current tight end is Kraft. Jacobs out, Charbs, or Allen Jeter. So I would go Kittle and Charbonnet. Michael Fannin or Michael Mayer. I will go Fannin there. Papa Slick, Jacoby Myers, which are taken care of. Chubb or even Dallas Goddard. I would go Goddard. Toto Mojo, Kittle or Dubs. Dubs. Kittle. If Jacobs doesn't start, I'll play Wilson. Should I also bench Keenan Allen for Dubs? No. I have Kendre Miller every 2 from Fort Stash. So S, leave Keenan Allen in. Joe T, Chris Moore, or Marvin Harrison Jr. I'll go Harrison Jr. there. Rice or London for Oscar. I will go Drake London. Bombfin for Devontae Smith, Trey Tucker, or Ken Walker. I will go Devonta there. Lazy Maximalist, need 2 of Dubes, Johnson, or Tet McMillan. I would go QJ and Dubes. Thomas on X, Dowdell, or McConkey. That would be Dowdell. Hobby, Stroud, Herbert, or Wentz. Herbert. Like Justin Herbert. I think that game can be a little bit of a back and forth, a little more passing from both sides of the game there. So gonna ride with that. Scooter, Emmanuel Wilson, Brees, or Odunze. I would go Brees Hall there. Sonny, Mooney, Coker, or Waller. Pick 2. Coker and Mooney. Dart or Wentz for Chef. If I could type. Carson Wentz. Texas, Vidal, Swift, or Keenan Allen. Which 2? Vidal and Swift. Mandan 912. Pick 1 to sit. Rashad White, Hall, or Judkins. White. Maximus Italiano's decisions that I have to make. Waddle or McCaffrey. Would be Waddle still. McCaffrey, Henderson, Aoman, or Harvey Butte. Start 2. That one I would start McCaffrey of those group. And Henderson. Start Waller or Barner would be Waller. Diggs or Pollard would be Diggs. Jordan Hendricks, Fannin, or Tez Johnson would be Fannin. Al Peterson, Dart, or Penix, and Superflex need a running back of Knight, Harvey, Hunt, or Emmanuel Wilson. So I will go Dart there. Wilson, if no Jacobs, otherwise Harvey. I'd really like some Tutu Atwell points. That's what I need. Oscar, good morning. Weather might be a factor here in Chicago. Should I start Marvin Harrison Jr. over Olave? That's really close. I'm ranked fairly closely. I'd probably still ride Olave. Usually, unless the weather's like really, 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 really bad, you don't want to pivot. But that's probably where I would go. I'd probably stay Olave. What question you need, Alberto? Did you miss it? So the one I got for you is Johnston or Bucks wide receiver. And I'd mentioned Quentin Johnson. So maybe we missed it there. But if you did, Quentin Johnson over the Bucks wide receiver. If you got a different question, that's the only question I got for you is the Johnston one, which is Quentin Johnson. So got another one, Alberto, though. Toss it in there. I'll answer it. Don't worry. Caleb or Drake May would be Drake May. Kevin Wheeler, non-PPR. Dan on X, Judkins or Bill. I would go Judkins. Mason Taylor or Jameson Williams in flex. I would go Taylor there. Oh, Big Country, Marks, Kendre, Pollard. I would go Marks. TR, Nix or Jones, Jaden or May. Nix and Jaden. No problem, Alberto. No problem. It's okay. I'm not expecting everybody to be sitting here for the entirety of the show, Alberto. So QJ is that answer though for you. Gil, sorry, I have adjusted a cue from earlier. That's fine. You're allowed to make changes, Gil. It's all right. That's why we're here for so long. Can't play Sheed due to the start time because I'm really hoping to play Emmanuel Wilson if Jacob misses. You and me both. I started Tutu Atwell over Emmanuel Wilson. So tell me how my Sunday is going, Gil. Bam Charps, Woody Marks as my pivot. So I would say Woody Marks is the play. Charbonnet's pretty good too. Would be the pivot there for you. Yeah, I'd probably say Marks, a little bit of lean. I think that game profiles a little more to have Marks have more involvement than Chubb. Both offenses should have some decent movement in the football. So I'll go Woody Marks there if instead of Shaheed. Diggs or Odunze for JB. I would go Odunze. I know the weather is now starting to become a concern there in Chicago, but still riding Odunze. Diggs has decent target volume, but it's kind of like one of those, we kind of don't know who's going to pop off type of offenses at the moment. So I would go with Odunze. Caesar Ante, Robinson or Ed Buka would be Robinson, and then there. So here, or so heel. Keenan Allen, Dallas Goddard, Kenneth Walker, Wan'Dale Robinson can only pick one. I will go Goddard. Randy on X. Worthy, Mason, or Jameson Williams would be Mason, and then Jordan Mason or Vidal. I would just do Mason for both. JC, start Pitts or Darren Waller. I would go with Kyle Pitts. Matt, start Goddard or Fannin. I would go Fannin. Or alternatively, start both and replace Vidal and Max. So I'd go Fannin over Dallas Goddard. Welcome, JB. No problem. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully. Chris Bland, should I start Dowdell, Sutton, or Ladd half PPR? I would go with Cortland Sutton there for you, Chris. Come on. My apologies. My computer it's being a little slow. Okay, Mike Wilbur. Do I bench Nico, Lamb, Odunze, or Rice? Oh, that is a tough one. Yeah, it's gonna be Odunze, I guess. I'm gonna go Rice. Actually, I lied, Mike. I lied to you. I'm sorry. I'm a dirty liar. I lied right to your face. Yeah, I'm going to go Rashee Rice. Coming off the injury, I'll ride with the other three fairly elite options at this point. See how it works out for Rice. Go from there. If he explodes, he's just good to go moving forward. So George Mason Taylor or Michael Mayer. I would go with Michael Mayer. I like the spot against the Chiefs for him, so that's where I would ride. George, Michael Mayer. Juan Hernandez, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Jordan Mason. I would go Jordan Mason there. Let's see here. Organizing a thing or two here. Let's see what we got. Notifications. There we go. Nigel, Waddle, or Monty. Full PPR, whether or not looking great in Cleveland. Still rolling with Waddle there. Mike, how are you playing this Jacobs kickoff later this afternoon? Jacobs, H-N, Judkins, White. Judkins and H-N. Bom, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom. Brad, with Jacoby Myers inactive, would you start Trey Tucker over Jamison or DJ Moore? Yes, I would. Amanda, Mac Jones, or Wentz? I would go Jones there for you. Oh, Jeff, need a tight end and a flex. Pitts, Fannin, Xavier Worthy, Javonte Williams, or J.K. Dobbins. So I would go Fannin and Williams. KVO on X, need 2 running backs and a flex in PPR. Genty, Swift, Mason, Walker, Sutton, Addison, or Ted McMillan. Ooh, that's a tough one. At least for the flex. Genty and Swift. And the flex, it's where it gets tough because I want Mason. But Sutton and Addison are good starts there as well, KV. So I'll probably go Cortland Sutton. Would probably be my play there, KV. George Mayer or Pierce. Yeah, I'd still go Michael Mayer. Alec Pierce, interesting. But I'm probably, there's a chance he explodes, but I really think Michael Mayer probably is a little safer play there for you. Wilson or Kendrick Bourne for Felly would be Crafty. What about Kamara or Mason? I would go Jordan Mason. Oh, that one was deleted. John, is Rice a safe as a starter? John, there's a real simple question. No one is ever safe. Jennifer, another team need 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Walker, Pollard, Chubb, Allen, Trey Tucker, AJ Brown. Wilson in case Jacobs does not go. So do I not play Pollard? It was an early game. I see your dilemma. So I would go Walker and Chubb to potentially play Wilson. And then 1 wide receiver would be AJ Brown. And then play Tucker as your flex. Morgan, Sutton, AJ Brown, or Dowdell. Pick 2. Thanks. So that would be Sutton. So it sounds like it's gonna be a rotation with the running backs between Dowdell and Choba. So I will still roll it. Rotation at least gets touches. Good chance he gets in the end zone still potentially or something like that for Dowdell. So I'm cool there. Nick, Mason or Diggs? I will go Mason. Crafty, this one's the one. Mason or Kamara? I will go Mason. Just a man and his dog, Fannin or Jameson Williams. I will go Fannin. Finn, Pitts or Mayer. I will go Michael Mayer. Pick 2, a wide receiver and a flex. Diggs, Waddle, Ibuka. Waddle and Diggs. T-Lock. Fire emoji. Flex full PPR, Pacheco, Chris Moore, or McCaffrey. I'll go Chris Moore there. I think that's just interesting. Close enough. Let's see here. Who do you start in flex for Dylan, Ramondre, Travion Henderson, McCaffrey, Pitts, Marvin Harrison Jr.? I would go Ramondre. Mike Ryan, Judy and bad weather, or banged up Jennings. Ooh. Ooh, Mike. Rough there. It's gonna have to be Judy. Yogi Dog. Need 2. Kittle, Ferguson, or Waddle. Buffalo Love, Monty, or Dubes. I will go Romeo Dubes. Oh man, time is flying. It's already 12 o'clock. A helipad, 2 from Dowdell, Swift, Mason, standard. I'll go Swift and Mason. Oh, okay. Or don't type. Computer. That's cool. William. What's up, William? In my flex, Ted McMillan or Tucker Craft? Ooh, Tucker Craft for you. I think that's probably a decent spot. I don't love McMillan up against Sauce Gardner and just the Carolina Panthers offense in general. Against the Jets defense, I know they haven't been as vaunted as one would hope, but yeah, I still don't love the spot for him. So I'll go with Tucker Craft. Better matchup. Carlos on X, Ertz or Cade Otton. Jets, Panthers, or Colts for defense. So I'll go Ertz and Colts. Mac Whack Milk. Waddle or Diggs. I would go Waddle. Amanda, pick one. Oh my goodness, what is going on with my computer? Pick one. Start Wentz, Jones, or Bryce Young. I would go Mac Jones. Chris Peck. Once we load it up. Dun, dun, dun. Ailmanor, Jennings, or Pitts would be Pitts. I lied. Ailmanor. Sutton, Diggs, Tet, or Bam Knight. Standard flex would be Sutton. Jordan, Maxey, Allen, or Addison. I would go Addison. Z, Flexbot, Goddard, or Jacoby Myers. I think that one was pretty answered, aka Jacoby Myers is inactive. Z. No problem, William. Ailmanor or Golden for Joe. I will go with Golden. Anthony, Pats defense or Packers. I would know. I'd play Green Bay. JC, AJ Brown, or Ladd. I would go AJ Brown there. Schultz or Pitts. I'll go Dalton Schultz. For JJC. Tay on X, Darnold or Jones. I will go Jones. Oh. Joel, Fields or Darnold. I would go Fields there. Johnson, Worthy, or Pittman would be Johnson. Yogi Dog, Fields or Stroud would be Fields. Potter, AJ Brown, or Kayshon Butte. Yeah, we're right. AJ Brown. So Rice over Kendrick Bourne. Yes. Dobbs over Chuba. Yeah. I'd go Dobbs over Chuba. KVO. I have London, Lamb, Addison, Tet, McMillan, and Sutton right now. I have it as Lamb, Sutton, Addison, and London. Reminder should flex that good. Yes. Man, the weather in Cleveland. She's raining. Raining and it's pouring. Mm-hmm. Intriguing. Let's see here. JP Doran on X. Tat Harrison Jr. Travion bench 1. Probably Henderson. All right. Seems like the questions have kind of come to a conclusion. Oh man, why couldn't that have been Tutu Atwell? Instead, Terrence Ferguson scores. What a bummer. What a way to end the show, right? Either way, gonna close it out here. Questions seem to be dying down a little bit. If you do have questions between now and kickoff, again, send it over on the start sit thread over at my profile on X Popes FFH. We'll definitely try to get to as many of them prior to kickoff as I can. And until next week, make sure you go ahead, check out at FTN Fantasy on all the socials, as well as check out the website at FTN Fantasy. Well, not at, but FTNFantasy.com. That way you can get weekly rankings. Sign up, join the Discord. You can kind of have the chats back and forth prior to Sunday morning with me. All Dynasty, redraft, anything, stuff like that. Head on over, check it all out, and talk to you next week. Till then, good luck. Take care.